Welcome to an overview for the first week and chapter of social geography. Just want to highlight a few important points and think first off introduction. I've been teaching at UFE for a significant period of time. My training is also as an urban planner, so how I teach and the key ideas are shaped by that experience as well as by the work I do in Eastern Africa. Course requirements are under course outline and all the assignment files are now uploaded. I have provided two optional videos or films that you could review instead of the Jonathan Cazole book, as well as made other suggestions in the announcement section of the course. In terms of social geography, one I've noted that many of you are interested perhaps in more rural spaces. However, for the focus of this semester, our perspective or our area of emphasis more urban spaces, but many of the concepts could be applied also in a rural area. Specifically, social geographers are interested in ways that city structures reflect economic, demographic, cultural, one could add technological and political changes. For example, this image that you see in front of you reflects a period of time when the idea of growth, urban sprawl, the predominance of the automobile, the demand for larger homes took priority within or shaped the urban fabric, especially in the United States and Canada, in such a way that now the pendulum has begun to swing the other way with concern about, well, the affordability, the non-sustainability of this form of development, as well as some thought and perspective on placelessness that comes through this form of urban sprawl. Well, this isn't the focus of the course. What I'm trying to illustrate is that the city structure speaks not just to a time and culture and technology, but our understanding is also influenced by our knowledge and experience in the context of each place. The whole importance of globalization in terms of the social geography of the city, as well as the effects of migration and changes in demographics, are some of the themes certainly in your text and in some of the presentations. A classic example in our British Columbia context in terms of ethnicity and place would be Richmond. And I guess I really want to emphasize the vibrancy that comes in urban structures through immigration and development, food, culture, language, signage, but there's also some challenges such as the concept of ghetto, where a concentration that exists becomes a trap, if you will, for the community that might want to move out and beyond that current location. Regardless of ethnicity, demographics, this landscape reflects change and it reflects specific cultures and time and place. The Zanzibar door in the top photograph, depending on the script around the door, speaks to Indian owners or potentially Islamic owners in that home, as well as the time when it's developed and the prestige of the homeowner. One of the most fascinating and challenging aspects of the city is difference in inequality. Certainly, social geography in that context becomes a geography of human concerns in the city. As we understand the socio-spatial dialectic, it's this two-way process in which people create and modify urban spaces while at the same time being conditioned or shaped in various ways by the spaces in which they live and work. For example, during the Olympics, when housing was needed for tourism, a lot of the more affordable single-room occupant housing developments or buildings were converted into suites or accommodation for tourists, which ended up displacing many lower income individuals or households. So as an illustration that a significant event, a time in history, the lack of policy at that time facilitated displacement and gentrification. So the contemporary city form an important area of focus then is the sense of justice. And please, if you have time, watch the TED Talk linked on this slide. But our understanding of the city is often reflected in the terms that we use to describe the city, such as the city as a jungle. Social geographers have different approaches for looking at the city, and they're not mutually exclusive. Quantitative would focus on numbers, neoclassic economics, where the behavioral approach looks more at people's patterns, lifestyles, actions such as the decision to use a high occupancy vehicle lane or not, and the whole social psychology of decision making process that end up influencing city structure and city systems. Structuralist approach focuses more on class and income, more along within a Marxist theoretical framework in order to understand the city. And the post-structuralist approach extends this further by looking at other nuances in inequality within the city or lifestyle decisions that influence where one lives in the city and how one interacts within the context of each neighborhood. These three clips speak to the Woodward's building that was gentrified and the demand and the desire to integrate social housing and some of the challenges. And the PowerPoint or the TED Talk here talks more about the unique ways in which cities are segregated and another sort of tool or method for trying to understand the differences within cities. So when one moves into chapter 2, the author wants to take you back in time to look at the social geography of the pre-industrial city as a backdrop, if you will, or a platform on which to build our understanding and research on the more contemporary city. I won't go into chapter 2 at this time, except to encourage you to look at figure 2.2 and table 2.1, as well as the summary in each chapter, and we'll begin our next short overview lecture with chapter 2 and looking at the pre-industrial city as a way to then move forward to look at the challenges and the issues in the contemporary city. Again, reminding you that social geography is really the geography of human concerns in the city, and some of these themes or topics might be of interest to you as you make the decision on what focus you'll have with your virtual presentation. Thank you, and we'll talk to you on Friday.